Welcome back to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. That's Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker, everybody.
Holla.
I'm former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll here, and this is Fourth and Pain. Be sure to join us each and every Sunday morning right here, 8 o'clock on 106.7 The Fan, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll tell you what really grinds my gears this week. It's people that insist on focusing on the negative in a positive story. Let's talk about the people that are berating Ray Lewis. This is a man that has turned his life around. He's done incredible things, and still they want to drag up things from his past, or they want to twist the words that he's saying at Super Bowl week. Let it go, people.
Well, to me, it's interesting because Ray himself actually brings up a great point. He's at the Super Bowl. They always say for WrestleMania, this is the grandest stage of them all. Well, this is the grandest stage of them all when it comes to football. And these people, they're obviously trying to get some publicity. They're obviously trying to get their name out there, and they're trying to do it at Ray's expense. And they're trying to do it at the grandest media stage that pro football has to offer. And so it's really sad that this is happening.
I gotta say, I'm actually really glad to hear that you agree with me as far as people finding the negative inside of a positive. It's like people, for whatever reason, and this is just a life thing, to be perfectly honest with you, people are so ingrained on focusing on the negative things, they ignore the positive. And honestly, I believe that that is what differentiates people that succeed in life and people that settle and are in the ho-hum, stuck in that vicious cycle, and will never, ever, ever be able to climb that ladder of success because they're always focusing on negative things and not what is truly important, and what is truly important will always propel you forward.
Well, it's sad because what makes news, what makes the 6 o'clock news in newspapers is actually on MSN today. I read about a little girl who was in a cage, and the police found her adopted mom, and put her in a cage and left her there. And you told me about a story before we came on air where a fireman had lost his arm and a surgeon sewed it back on. But what's on MSN? The little girl being locked in a cage, not the surgeon saving the fireman's arm and possibly his life. So I'm with you. I like to focus on the positive. Negative things happen, but you don't need to bring those things to light.
Well, but here's the thing. I honestly believe, though, especially when it comes to people that are successful, in any field, whether it be a Fortune 500 CEO or a football player such as yourself, or any particularly successful radio talent, not including myself here, but anybody that really rises to the top of their industry, they're always going to tell you that they have a positive outlook on things, and they ignore the negative. They don't search for it, and that is what enables them to move forward. And I just genuinely believe that that is probably one of the keys to success for everybody, regardless of industry. Now, all of this was predicated on Ray Lewis at the Super Bowl. Much talk this week about the PED scandal. This one, believe it or not, if you haven't heard, if you've been under a rock, deer antler extract, something in there is on the NFL's banned substance list. And Adam, when I read this, I was really curious. When a player gets a supplement that isn't on that approved list by the NFL, when a player gets a supplement by their trainer or doctor or whomever, how do they go about verifying that all of the ingredients are on the up and up and will not come up in a drug test?
Well, the simplest thing they tell you to do is there's a list. And they say if it's not on that list, don't take it. But it's very tricky because there's a bunch of trainers out there, and they all have different thoughts and philosophies, and there's a ton of different supplements. And you can take something, and maybe it's not on that list, but it's still okay. But they're not going to go and dissect the whole entire supplement that you're taking for you because they simply don't have the time. So it's a little bit risky. If you want to play it perfectly safe, you just take what's on that list. But what's on that list, there's so many more things out there that can help you. Doesn't mean they're illegal. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. There's a lot of guys that test positive for things that they're genuinely shocked. Vijay Singh, the golfer, it just came out that he was taking this deer antler spray. He had no idea it was illegal. It's very tricky when it comes to taking supplements because a lot of times you don't know if it's going to be on the ban list. A lot of times you think it's legal. You hear it every year. Guys think it's legal, and it turns out it's not. And I believe them. I believe that they're truly surprised. It's a very fine line, and it's very tricky when it comes to these types of things.
Well, is there a person, say, when the trainer gives you that bottle of supplements, is there a person that you can then take it to with the team, with the league, that you can say, hey, is all of this on the up and up?
Like I said, they have the list. They have a number you can call. But there's so many things out there that you can take that aren't on that list. To me, the list is very limited. It's pretty much all EAS. I mean, it's like they're sponsored by the NFL or something. Everything is so. If you don't like EAS, if you don't believe in their products, it's kind of like you're out on a limb. You're just kind of guessing what you can and can't take, and it's risky. Everything that I take, I've been working with Billy Beck. I've been working with him, and he's told me that everything has been that he has given me is on the up and up and good to go. But it can be tricky when it comes to these things, and people might say, well, just take what's on the list. What I've seen what's on the list, and that stuff is good, but there's so much better stuff out there that is perfectly legal and that is okay to take.
Which, and what it is you're saying makes sense to me, because you see some of these guys that are getting flagged for violating the banned substance policy of the league, and you look at them and you're just like, there is absolutely no way this guy is on any sort of steroid whatsoever.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I got a quick funny story about that. My rookie year at St. Louis, during training camp, you have to get up twice to take these different tests. And you got to get up like 4 or 5 in the morning, so everybody hates doing them. And everyone, there's always a long line, so you're in line for like an hour. So Drew Bennett's a wide receiver at St. Louis, and we've been sitting there in line for an hour at 5 a.m., and we've got a 2-a-day practice that day. And he finally goes to the drug tester and just says, can I just take my shirt off and you take a picture of me and send this in? He goes, and this guy is tall, he's skinny. I mean, if he's taking steroids, they're not working. He should get his money back. And he's just like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do this. And I've always just thought that was a pretty funny story.
I like it. But you know what? We could talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but only 12 minutes in a segment. I want to make sure that we talk a little bit more about WrestleMania, as it is the road to WrestleMania having officially kicked off. So let's talk about that here on Fourth and Pain. I thought it would be fun, Adam, if we took a look at the way that the card is shaping up versus the matches that we would like to see at WrestleMania. So in actuality, we have The Rock versus Cena 2.
Boo.
But what is it? But what is a match that you would really want to see? Where would you really want to see The Rock? Where would you really want to see John Cena?
Well, the matches it looks like we're going to get, the 4 main matches, it appears, are going to be Cena versus Rock again. It's going to be Lesnar versus Triple H again. It's going to be CM Punk versus Undertaker. Now, none of these are for sure. This could all change. This is just the way it looks like it's shaping up. I guess this is our predictions, so to speak, our official predictions. You got CM Punk, right. Undertaker. To me, that's a good match. Of the 4 matches I'm gonna put out there, this is the only one that's actually interesting to me. The other one is Randy Orton versus Sheamus. I've heard rumored to be out there. To me, that's okay. It's 2 guys that aren't at the top like The Rock and Cena, and they're right below them, and that'll be a decent match. To me, the matches I want to see. I want to see Cena and Undertaker. I want to see All Things Bright versus All Things Dark. I want to see the 2 biggest names in pro wrestling, and yes, I said The Undertaker is one of the 2 biggest names today fighting. I want to see CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar with that walrus, with the guy who hasn't seen Down South in about 6 years. I want to see Paul Heyman stuck in the middle between those 2 guys. And I know they're 2 heels, but I think it would go over huge. I want to see, and this could surprise some people, I want to see The Rock, and I had predicted Randy Orton to win the Royal Rumble. The guy has the 3rd most Twitter followers of anybody on the WWE roster. The guy, when we went to the Raw taping, he had the biggest reaction of anybody besides John Cena. And he is a guy who was once at the level of John Cena. Had he won the Rumble, he could have been at that level again. CM Punk, I apologize, The Rock versus Randy Orton, and Orton reversed back to the legend killer to kill the legend of The Rock. I think that could have been awesome. And then Ryback, he needs to get over. He needs to actually win a match. And I think facing somebody like Triple H could be the guy, could be the match at WrestleMania that launches him into the stratosphere. And what I like about this, there's only 2 main names in pro wrestling today that are consistently there week after week, CM Punk and John Cena. This would launch Orton back into that stratosphere. This would launch Ryback into that stratosphere. All of a sudden, instead of 2 main names, you've got 4. And I'm obviously predicting that those guys win. And that's what I like about these matches.
Go ahead and give us a tweet at Fourth and Pain and let us know. Is this good business for WWE? How should they have booked it at Fourth and Pain? And we're going to push pause here, Adam. On the other side, we're going to come back, Fourth down, we're going to wrap up the show with Goldberg, make our official Super Bowl predictions, pick his brain a little bit more on the Flacco Kaepernick debacle. Who's got the more pressure here on Sunday? The Ray Lewis situation, interesting to get his thoughts on that, and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. This is Fourth and Pain.